Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Kaylee and these are my books. Today's video is the start of a new reading vlog, and this is the third installment to my favorite series that I do on my channel, which is where I read other booktubers' favorite books. For this video, I've chosen to select my friend Lexi from Books with Lexie, and so I will be reading 3 of Lexi's favorite books. Lexi is one of my favorite people on booktube. I absolutely adore her and her channel. Her channel will be linked below. Lexi primarily reads thriller and horror books, but she has been dabbling a little bit in science fiction as well, and we have a lot of similar tastes in, Project Hail Mary is both one of our favorite books ever. And for thriller and horror books, there are a lot of books that other people don't like that we both end up liking too. And so I have very high hopes for this video because I really feel like there's the potential for me to give every single one of Lexi's favorites 5 stars. And me choosing Lexi was kind of inspired by her doing the Halloween Readathon. She is the creator of Halloween Readathon. And for Halloween Readathon, her and all of the other co-hosts give 5 of their favorite books and put them on a graphic because one of the prompts is to read a host's favorite. And I was looking at the graphic, and of all the hosts, Lexi's is the only one I haven't read any of. And I'm like, this is shocking to me. I can't believe I haven't read any of your favorite books. So I noticed that I already owned 2 of them, and I was able to get the 3rd from the library, and I was like, this is perfect. I am featuring you in the next installment of this video because I already want to read these books so badly for the month of October. Lexi reading thriller and horror books primarily makes her a great candidate to choose for an October installment of the series. So the books I will be reading for this video are The Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the only one I don't own physically already. It is a horror novella, and I don't know much about the plot, but I will update you as I read it. I do know, however, that people hate this book. And by people, I just mean that the average rating for this book is very, very low on Goodreads. However, I loved The Only Good Indians by the same author, Stephen Graham Jones, so I have high hopes for The Night of the Mannequins because I think Stephen Graham Jones is a genius. I love his writing, and a lot of people didn't vibe with The Only Good Indians either, so I think it's maybe just those same people not vibing with The Night of the Mannequins, and because I loved The Only Good Indians, I think I'm going to love The Night of the Mannequins. The next book I will be reading for Lexi's favorites is The Last Housewife. This is a book that's incredibly hyped up. A ton of people love it. I think this book being a favorite book could be true for many other booktubers. This is by the same author that wrote In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. And while I enjoyed In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, I did only give it 4 stars, so I wasn't as obsessed with it as everyone else was. But I have high hopes for this one because 1, the cover is beautiful. I mean, not to judge a book by its cover, but look at that. It's incredible. And 2, I've heard that this one is darker than In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. And I don't know, I'm just kind of in the mood for a dark, emotional story right now. I know that this one is like very, very triggering to a lot of people. So if you're interested in this book, make sure you check trigger warnings. This book actually has trigger warnings that the author included at the beginning of the story, which is fantastic. I wish all books did that, which you can kind of see right here. But I've heard that all the topics are handled in a really intellectual way within this story, so I'm excited to experience it. I'm excited to experience this author's wonderful writing again, and I'm really thinking that this could be a 5-star book. And last but not least, I will be reading The Last House on Needless Street for Lexi's favorites. This book I've had for a while. I haven't picked it up. It looks pretty short. Actually, it's kind of just average length. It's just over 300 pages, 330 pages. I don't know anything about it, but again, the cover is incredible. Love it. And I think this is a haunted house story, but weird. Basically, the only thing I know about this book is that it's super weird. Super weird and kind of confusing in a weird, cool way. So I'm down for it. I like weird books. I like weird horror books. And the other thing I know about this book is I think we get a cat point of view, which you can kind of see the cat on the cover there. I think this is one of our point of views, which is very fun. I'm really hoping that this could be the first installment where I give every book I read of a booktuber's favorites 5 stars. Fingers crossed. 5-star vibes. I'm getting 5-star vibes from all of these books, we'll see. But now I'm going to cut to me reading these books. Hello, I wanted to check in because I am 20 pages into the Night of the Mannequins. Forgot what it was called for a second. And I'm like loving it so far. The writing style I'm really vibing with. I'm finding it really, really funny, but also like really easy to read, but I can tell it's gonna pack a punch, you know? Basically, the premise is there's these kids, they're teenagers. One of them works at a movie theater. She got in trouble for letting her friends go into the movie theater for free. And so basically, her boss is watching her super close, and the movie theaters that she's in charge of get a head count now to make sure everyone in there bought a ticket. And her friends want to prank her by bringing this mannequin that they've kind of all been like playing with since they were kids into one of her theaters. And you know, because this is a horror novella, it's called Night of the Mannequins, and there is a mannequin involved. I'm thinking maybe this mannequin is gonna come alive. I don't know exactly where the horror is coming in, because from what I've read, there's no horror yet, but I do want to read you the first sentence because the first sentence is pretty horrific. So Shanna got a new job at the movie theater. We thought we'd play a fun prank on her, and now most of us are dead, and I'm really starting to feel kind of guilty about it all. That's a great first sentence. I am immediately hooked. It's really late. It's like 1 in the morning, and I have to teach at 8 tomorrow morning, so I really should be in bed, but I needed to update you because I just finished sprinting with Kitty and Gabby, and during those sprints, I finished reading Night of the Mannequins, and oh my god, I've done it. I've finally done it. I've found a 5-star horror novella that was amazing. Like, this is going to be one of my favorites. It's my favorite horror novella that I've ever read before. I absolutely loved it. I mean, oh my god. And this one gets so much hate, too. The average Goodreads rating is 3.3. That's low. That is low. So many people hate this. I don't know why. It's amazing. 5 stars. Like, what is with it, with me giving such a hated horror and thriller book such high ratings? But oh my god, it's so good. It was like so surprising. I had no idea where the story was going the whole time. It was wacky. It was very psychological. So it had like a bit of a, sorry, there's like a hair in my mouth right now. It had a bit of like a slasher vibe to it. It wasn't like completely a slasher, but it had slasher vibes. And we had some really cool villain point of view moments in this book, and oh, it was so good. It was so good. I highly recommend this book. The Night of Mannequins is my favorite horror novella that I've ever read, and I think this is going to go down as a favorite of the year. One of my favorites of the year. Definitely one of my favorite spooky books of the year. We'll have to see if it makes like my top 10 books ever of the year, but out of spooky books, it for sure makes the top 10. Oh my god, it was so good. It was so creepy. It was so good. But anyways, I'm gonna go to sleep now because I am tired. I'm gonna be tired tomorrow, but I don't know what I'm going to read next, so I will just update you when I make my decision. But for now, I have no idea. Hello, I'm checking in because I ended up starting the next book for this vlog, and it is The Last Housewife. This is just the dust jacket because the actual book is open right here next to me. I am already 124 pages in, so I started it earlier today, and I've kind of been on sprints on and off like all day, but I'm absolutely loving this book. I've been reading this book on the sprints. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm actually on sprints with Lexi right now, reading the books for the vlog, this vlog, where I'm reading her favorites, so that's kind of fun. But let me give you a basic premise for The Last Housewife. The Last Housewife is about this woman who is married. She doesn't seem super happy in her marriage. It seems like it's on the edge of abusive, at least at the very beginning. I think it's gonna cross over that line at some point, but just what we're giving at the very, very beginning of the story. The marriage seems like it's on the edge of abusive, and then her friend from college commits suicide, and she listens to a podcast about her friend's suicide. And the podcaster is actually one of her old friends from high school. And the podcaster is like, hey, I don't think this was suicide. I think she got killed and the cops are covering it up. So our main character basically reaches out to the podcaster, her old friend, to investigate her college friend's suicide that might be murder, because turns out there was another girl in their little college group that also committed suicide in like the exact same way, and it's super suspicious. So that's the premise. They're basically, her and this podcaster investigating these murders / suicides. But there's so much more going on. Like, while that's the premise, the setup of the book, like, that doesn't accurately portray what is happening in this book. This book is so much more than that. It's not really a murder mystery. It's like this exploration of feminism, of abuse, of authority and masculinity, and it's just, it's a lot. This book has some trigger warnings at the beginning of the book, like in a page in the book, which I think is really good because this book has so many triggers. It is beautifully written, though. It's written so well. I don't think the triggers are working like just shock factor. I think all the triggers that are in here, in my opinion, are being handled in a really smart way, and it's hard to read, it's frustrating to read, but it feels important to read, and I am enjoying it. The plot is very fast-paced. There's a podcast element, because again, we have a podcaster in here. I'm sure the audiobook is really cool. I'm only physically reading it though. So I'm loving this book, absolutely loving it. I don't know if I'll finish it tonight because it's already midnight, but I'm hoping to get at least like solidly halfway through. And so while I'm loving it, I just want to give you a heads up, like, this is a hard read, okay? Make sure you're in the right headspace before you go into this book. Make sure you look up trigger warnings if you need to look up trigger warnings, because this book is like very, very heavy. It's so heavy, okay? Sorry, my camera cut off. I was gonna do a cheeky little jump cut, but now that Teddy has moved, you're gonna be able to tell. But all I was saying is, with that being said, you know, I'm loving the book and I'm gonna continue reading it. I think I have like at least an hour more I'm gonna be reading it for tonight. So I will check in either later tonight if I have more to say, or I will check in tomorrow when I've hopefully finished the book, or at least gotten much farther into the book. Hello, I wanted to update you because I'm on page 250 of the Last Housewife. I don't know why I forgot the title for a second. I know I'm in like an official setting. This is not the end of the vlog yet. I just filmed the intro. So a little behind the scenes information, you know, I filmed the intro out of order because I forgot to film the intro earlier. But since I'm already have the camera set up, I figured it's more interesting for you to have a background of books than just a background of the couch. So here I am to tell you that I am on page 250 of this book and I am absolutely loving it. I have less than 100 pages left, I think. Or maybe just about 100 pages. No, I think I actually have 120 pages left. So kind of a lot left, but I'm going to finish it tonight, I swear. My last update was yesterday. Today I really just, I don't know, laid on the couch and was a blob for most of the day. I didn't really do any reading. I didn't really do anything. And I was on sprints this evening though, and that's when I read a little bit more in this book, and now I am not going to sleep until I read this book. I was wanting to take a bubble bath and read this book last night, but then I didn't end up doing that. So tonight I actually will be taking a bubble bath. I'm going to make a pumpkin chai tea latte, bring it into the bath, sip it while I enjoy the bubbles, and read this incredibly dark story. So to update you on my actual thoughts, because that's the point of this clip, I'm kind of going off topic. I think this book is fantastic so far. It is so dark, but I'm really liking how active our main character is. That was the main thing I was worried about in this story, is I didn't want it to be a story of things happening to somebody. You know, I wanted it to be a story where things happen to somebody, but also that person is doing things actively as well. And I was worried that this story would be too depressing if we're just watching a bunch of horrible things happen to somebody over and over and over again. But I'm happy to say that the main character in the story is active. She is actively, being vague so it sounds kind of silly, but she is actively choosing to do things. She is actively furthering the plot. And I really like the character work that is being done in here. This exploration of the character's inner turmoil, where she is kind of torn between her past trauma and her future life, and she doesn't know what she wants from people. She doesn't know what's healthy for her to want from people. It's really interesting and heartbreaking to read about, and I am stressed about how this is going to end. I am worried for our main character. I really want us to have a happy ending, but I don't know. I'm not going to tell you at the end whether or not the ending is happy, so you'll just have to read the book for yourself. But I will tell you, as I'm like getting more and more to the end, I'm just like stressed, very stressed, in a good way though, in a good way. So I am probably not gonna update you again until I finish this book. I just finished The Last Housewife, and holy crap, holy freaking crap, that was a book. Oh my god, it made me emotional. I don't even know how to talk about it right now. Maybe I should wait a couple of minutes to let it sink in. That was amazing. 5 stars. Holy crap. It was a hard read though. It was a hard read. Like, make sure, Teddy was just snorting. I don't know if you could hear that, but make sure you're in the right frame of mind before you read this book, because, oh my god, it was hard to read, but it was so good. It was amazing, literally amazing, so fucking good. Sorry, I just cursed. I try not to do that on my channel, but if I'm gonna like curse about a book, it's gonna be this one. Here's the dust jacket. This book was incredible. It was so well written. The writing was beautiful and tragic and emotional. And it just felt so real, the book too. I highly recommend reading this book with a huge, huge asterisk next to that statement saying, check trigger warnings. Make sure you're feeling healthy beforehand. Because holy crap, that was hard. That was good though. This book, it's not like, it's so fucking good. So, like, when you read the little premise, when you read this little flap on the inside, it sounds kind of like just your average thriller in a good way. I love an average thriller. This is not, okay? It feels like a mix of thriller with hard-hitting literary fiction. And so you need to know what you're getting into when you read this book, because if you're just looking for a fun, fast-paced thriller, you're gonna get a lot more than you bargained for in The Last Housewife. It was incredible. I think I'm gonna stop talking now because it's really hard to talk about this book. The next book I'm going to be reading is The Last House on Needless Street, and you know, to make it a bit lighter in this update, I posted on Instagram a picture of me holding this book and The Last Housewife, which, by the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, my handle is just the same as my YouTube channel. It's Kaylee's Books. But I posted, can you guess what vlog these books are for? And so many people are saying books with last or house in the title. I'm like, oh my god, I did not even realize that. It's The Last House on Needless Street and The Last Housewife. But no, that is not what I'm reading these books for. Obviously, you know what I'm reading these books for. They are Lexi's favorites. But that would have been smart. That would have been a cool idea too. I'm excited to read this book, but full disclosure, I don't plan on starting this in the next couple of days. The next clip you're gonna get of me is probably like gonna be 2 to 3 days from now, because I think I need to shift genres after The Last Housewife. I need something a bit lighter before I move into The Last House on Needless Street, or at least a different genre, because I don't know, The Last House on Needless Street might not be as heavy, but it is another like horror thriller type of book, so I think I'm gonna take a pause on that, and I'm not gonna talk about this book in the video, but I will be reading There Is No Devil, which is like just a silly serial killer romance. Not exactly light, but much more fun than, you know, these books. So I will update you in a couple of days whenever I decide to start The Last House on Needless Street. So I'm halfway into The Last House on Needless Street. I was reading it a lot yesterday and this morning, and I also have some great coffee in my spooky season mug. It's 1 pump of white mocha and then caramel cookie espresso. I can't really taste a caramel cookie that much, but maybe if you have a better coffee palate than I do, you would be able to. And then a little bit of pumpkin creamer and half, and it's so freaking good. But okay, back to The Last House on Needless Street. I'm really enjoying it. I'm about halfway through already, and being inside the head of all of these point of views is so much fun. Like, I think I kind of know what's going on, but even if I'm right and I've guessed like the twist or whatever, I'm still having a great time. Like, that's not going to impact my enjoyment or not. I'm not like trying to figure out the twist. It just kind of popped in my brain. I'm like, oh, I think that's what's going on. But it doesn't matter because I'm still loving it. The point of views are just amazing because we have Ted's point of view, which is like the main guy in here, and then we have a cat's point of view. And the cat point of view is so fun to read about because it's just so unique, obviously, because it's a cat point of view. And then Ted's point of view, it's like, he's so like weird and it's just fun to be in his head. I mean, this is like really a deep dive into these characters' heads through their point of views. It's very like psychological, and I'm really enjoying it. So the premise is this girl gets kidnapped in this neighborhood, and the town thinks that Ted did it, but there's no proof, no evidence, so the mystery is just unsolved. And Ted is just going about his life. He's trying to go on some dates. He's trying to like just live his life, but he's a weird guy. He's a very weird guy. And there are flashback scenes to his childhood and his current life, and then there's flashback scenes to when this girl got kidnapped because her sister is currently looking for her, and we do get her sister's point of view as well. And there are some like creepy snake scenes, and there's just a lot of really cool stuff in this book, and I'm having a great time. Every single point of view is interesting to read about. The writing is really fun because it just feels so personalized to each point of view. Sometimes point of view books, they're kind of vanilla, you know, like each point of view is a bit murky and like whose mind we're inside of at that moment, where this book is very distinct. I feel like each point of view feels very different from each other, and that's why I'm having so much fun with it, because each point of view is its own kind of wild ride that we're going on, and I'm just having a great time. I'm listening to the audiobook of it while following along in the physical book, and I think I'm just gonna sit on this couch and listen to the last half of it this morning because I need to know what's going on, I need to know what's happening, and I need to know how this ends. Hello, I am checking in because I finished The Last House on Needless Street, and I did not know what was going on. I was so cocky in that last clip of being like, I think I know what's happening, but it won't affect my enjoyment. I did not know what was happening, okay? I had no clue what was happening. It was so good though. It was so freaking good. I was shocked by what was going on. I like had to go back and like reread beginning parts just to like see like how the twist was working if you like went back, because it was just fantastic. I really enjoyed this story. I had such a great time with it, and it's 5 stars, which, if you've been keeping track, I've given every single book for this vlog 5 stars. This is officially the most successful episode of me trying booktubers favorites, because for Lexi, Books with Lexi. All 3 of her favorites have been 5 stars. Night of the Mannequins, 5 stars. Last House on Needless Street, 5 stars. The Last Housewife, 5 stars. Oh my goodness. I've had a great time with all 3 of these books. They were all amazing. If I had to choose a favorite, I think Night of the Mannequins is my favorite out of the 3, but all 3 are solid 5 stars. Like, I had such a good time with this vlog. So I think I am going to end it here since I'm done reading all 3 of these books. Highly recommend all 3 if you haven't read them yet. They're all perfect for spooky season. Please check out Lexi's channel, because me knowing Lexi, me watching her channel, me seeing what she likes in books has now given me 3 new favorites. You too can get more favorites if you go visit Lexi's channel. She makes really great content. She does a lot of themed reading vlogs and a lot of reading sprints, and she's just all around a great person. And her channel will be linked down in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more content, and I'll see you next time. Bye!